Hello, everyone, and welcome. This is Jennifer Urezzio, founder and spiritual director of Soul Language. And this is Stories with the Divine. There are a number of times in my life that I can point to and say, hey, here's proof that the divine knows who I am. And I feel it's so important for others to share those moments and for you to hear those stories. So, this show provides the forum for those narratives. It's
Mm.
so important to know your conscious connection with your own divinity. And today I'm with Deborah Sutherland, and we are talking about connection. Welcome.
Thank you, Jennifer.
So
Hey,
excited.
everyone. So excited.
So, what is that profound moment where that moment actually strengthens your relationship with that, whatever you call your higher power? Do you have one that comes to mind?
My higher power. Yeah, there's several huge transformational memories that I have. One is being a small child and knowing that there was something greater than me, even though I came up in a very scary, toxic home. I knew that there was love greater than me, and that love was right beside me, even though there was terror in my home.
Wow.
That guided me my entire life. I've
Yeah.
always come back to that.
Wow,
Always.
that's really huge because
Mhm.
that must have given you a safe harbor, an anchor, something to go, yeah, yeah, this is not, this might be in my adult words, this might be my experience, but that's not really what's available to me.
Yeah.
So, in growing up and growing and really kind of embodying and realizing your connection more, what are some of the ways that you stay connected? Like,
Mhm.
how do you keep that conversation, that connection ongoing and open?
Yeah. So for me, I truly believe there's two major forces inside of me, fear or love. And when I'm in my head, I got caught up in my fear. And so a practice that I've made for myself every morning and every night is to access God, the Holy Spirit, the greater, and ask, how do I love? If you are love, I don't really know what that means. I know just this much. So show
Right.
me what it means to love you, to love myself, and to love others as I love myself. And I don't,
Beautiful.
I cry out for that because I really only practice and know a little bit of it. And I come back to that all the time.
Yeah. And I
Mhm.
love that because I think so often when people kind of dive into this spiritual thing or they feel connection, they can be really righteous. And, that doesn't help anyone. A righteous man never tells you that he's righteous. And so, by knowing, right, by knowing that the more you
Yeah.
know, the less you know,
Yeah.
that keeps this whole relationship with the divine really honest and willing to receive more. So, you do this thing called the full body yes. And
Mhm.
I love that because I think that also helps us really understand our connection and really feel supported. So, can you explain a little bit about the full body yes?
Yeah, absolutely. So a full body yes is not going to be driven by anxiety, frustration, terror. That's our constricted part, and that's our defense part. A whole body yes is when you feel open and flow, and you just know that you know that you know it's a yes. So your head, your heart, your gut, your whole being is like, yes, and waiting for that. And most of us don't take the time, including me, to practice to listen and wait and hold a space of abundance in ourselves that brings the whole yes. Because when we're rushing through, we're putting up walls that don't allow us to hear our whole yes. We don't even access that. We don't give ourselves the opportunity. It's always there. We
Right.
just don't give ourselves the opportunity to check in and listen to ourselves. And so the whole yes is pausing and really learning to expand into yourself whenever there's a decision to make, and waiting for the answer instead of pushing through, as my habit is pushing through, is waiting for that to come to you and to receive. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And, it's also really good advice for connection and conversation and
Mm.
feeling that relationship with divinity, right? I think so often we're rushing, 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 and we don't even notice like the divine speaking to us, the divine is supporting us. We're just, kind of so one way that, even before you do the full body yes or after or whatever, that's your chance to pause and go, okay, fill me with love. I'm willing and able to receive it. And I think so often there are fleeting moments, right? But if we just pause a little more, those moments will be more frequent and longer.
Totally. And you and I have gone through an experience recently where I had an unexpected someone leaving my company. And so the panic can set in for a second or a minute or hours. It's choosing when you have the unexpected to breathe, to take a pause, and to really think the opposite of what our brain normally thinks, which is, uh-oh, this is wrong, this can't happen, I gotta fix it. And again, our walls go up. And so that pause right then and there is really important. And we remember that pause when we've been practicing our pauses when we're not triggered. So we can keep expanding in that. And I love how you said God and listening and hearing when we take that pause. And the thought I had was the 3 lanes I like to practice, and noticing and looping my lane. Where is my responsibility? What is my learning? What is my whole yes? And what am I holding a space for someone else's whole yes, without judgment, and letting them just do their thing? And then what is God's whole yes for all of us? And can I hold a space for the collective? And so I call it looping myself, looping with the other, and looping with the greater. And I find when I do that, I'm more in touch with the collective need, the collective want of the world, which there's a lot going on in the world right now. When I can sense it and tap in the fear and the anxiety that others feel, I am able to then bring in love. And I believe perfect love casts out all fear. So if I'm able to pray over, be with myself, allow the emotion to come forward, and then allow the access of love for everyone, it grows me and the world.
Yeah. It's thinking about what you're putting into the relationship field between you and everything else, right? All relationships, including the relationship with the divine, are internal. And I think so often we have that moment when we're like, oh, yes, look, I know that I'm bigger, there's something bigger out there than me. And sometimes it's like you got to practice those moments, right? You got to recapture that feeling and recapture and tune into it. So, as we're wrapping up here, tell us a little bit about the way that you're of service into the world, because you do a lot of really cool things. And don't forget to
Thank
give
you.
out your website. You're welcome.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so my life was spared, I believe, because I was running amok. And I woke up to there's more than just getting things done. It's serving those who have accomplished so much, yet they're feeling dissatisfied. There's some kind of suffering, lack of fulfillment. They're missing their genius. They're missing their purpose, which is the whole yes. When we access our whole yes, then we can discover our genius that wants to happen through us and easefully. So my work is getting people to understand and develop their genius, know who it is inside of them, and to live a life of joy and purpose 90% of their day, and practicing that. I see their genius in them, and I also see how they keep that from themselves. And I give them tools to access loving themselves right there where they're at, accepting themselves, and then notifying themselves when they start to go down that rabbit hole of not being in their genius, without blame or shame, and how to get out of it. So I work with CEOs, business owners, teams, to start to allow conscious leadership to be aware of these patterns that keep us from ourself and our genius, and how to access that, which ultimately changes the culture. So I work on culture development, culture change, wherever there's conflict, dissatisfaction with the C-suite or partners, and how do they get on the same page? They first have to get on the same page with themselves. So that's a little bit of what I do, and I offer different tools around that. You can reach me at sunderlandcoaching.com. It's Sunderland, because sometimes people think it's Sutherland. Sunderlandcoaching.com. Yeah, and I would love to connect with anyone that has questions, concerns, interests in this.
Love that. Thank you so much. And my last question is, how has the being connected with the divine, how has that impacted your life?
it's changed everything in my life.
Yeah.
It's changed everything because it's helped me to realize right here, right now, I have everything, I am enough, and I have enough when I believe that and look at the source of what's being provided for me. There's no lack outside of myself. It's only inside of myself when I get into my tizzy. But when I go outside of myself and look at the greater good beauty for all of us, there's limitless abundance.
Love
Yeah.
that. And that's so beautiful. And, I want to just go back for a second, something that you said earlier. I think so often when we are feeling disconnected, there is this tendency to withdraw, right? And listen, the divine's going to send you humans to help, but you still have to ask for that support. So, yes, the divine can send you a giant tree to answer your prayers, but it takes a lot of energy and we would be scared with the giant tree. So, what's really beautiful about what you said is that, at any time there's resources, right? Some of those resources will be human and you have to ask for them and you have to be open up to receiving them. So, Deborah, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you, Jen. So great to be with you. Thanks, everyone.
Loved it. So, everyone, if you're interested in having a deeper connection, you can log on to soullanguage.us/gift of purpose for your free gift to consciously connect with your soul. And again, thanks to Deborah. And my name is Jennifer Urezzio, founder and spiritual director of Soul Language. Bye for now.